Hey there, Adam from Canadian Hobbies. We are going to do a quick look, first impression video of the SNRC R3 Pro. This is also known as the MTS R3 Pro, as SNRC produces the cars for them for Team Powers, and this is actually literally the exact same car, same anodizing, it's just in a different box. So, as you've seen from my previous videos, I had purchased an SNRC R3G, which is a graphite fiberglass chassis. So I've been having overall pretty good success with driving the car. I've been enjoying it. I was looking at possibly purchasing a second R3G to run just in a different class, either VTA or in the touring. The car has been doing double duty, doing both touring and USGT, so I just want to kind of split those two up. Now, when I ran the car, I ended up breaking a CVD, so I went and was going to order the spring steel front CVD. And while I was at it, I was going to look at buying the aluminum bulkheads, and then went from wanting to get the aluminum bulkheads was going to be the top aluminum purchase for the shock tower to mount it onto, so I had the adjustable more adjustment points, and it just kind of the whole parts order and getting so big, it ended up being like $150. Plus, add another $150 for the getting a second R3G, and I was at $300. Well, for the same price, I could get the R3 Pro. The R3 Pro had all the hop ups or upgrades I wanted to do to the R3G, plus have an additional things to the car as well. So it just made more sense to actually just go that route. So, I'm gonna give my first impressions, but it's also because I have both cars, I can go side by side, point out the differences between the two. So, reasons I wanted to go for the aluminum bulkhead was just to have something that's a little stiffer than the plastic bulkheads that come in the R3G. My concern is because I'm always, I'm smacking boards like crazy. I'm most likely tweaking the car, so I always want to take that tweak out. So that's undoing the screws and then retightening them. So having plastic bulkheads was my concern. It's not if, but when I'm gonna strip those plastic bulkheads. If I do strip it, probably what I'll do is I'll run a longer screw with a nut on the bottom, but it would just end up being tedious at that point. And actually, even when I get to stripping up the screws for that hold the aluminum brackets for the shock tower, once I strip those, then I have to get new bulkheads at that point, anyways. So going through, this is my first look at the Pro itself. As you can see, this is a carbon fiber chassis with more aluminum parts like the bulkheads, the steering. All the steel parts that were just regular steel have been swapped out for being spring steel. So that should definitely improve durability for the car. It has a much nicer um, battery hold down system compared to the two plastic holders and Velcro. This is what the original ones look in R3. Again, it would work no problem, but I didn't opt to use this because I was planning to run a shorty battery, and also this raises the battery up, 1.5 millimeters, 2 millimeters, so that's just a higher center of gravity. Now, with me being out of racing for so long, getting back into it, I did kind of screw up some things I purchased, like for electronics, like my batteries. I grabbed a shorty battery because I'm like, hey, it's lighter and I can adjust the weight back and forth. I was unaware of low profile batteries, and if I could redo that, I would get a normal length stick pack, but as a low profile battery. And not deal with making that custom battery brass one that I made for the R3G. Do I really have the regrets? No, because the batteries are pretty cheap, and I'm just out there to have fun. But just hindsight, I should have did a little bit more research and got stick packs, low profile ones. So we are going to go ahead and start taking a look at the car. First off, we'll go into the box. What else comes with it? So you're going to get your front bumper. It's the exact same front bumper on the R3G. What they also included with the car is there is aluminum narrow pulleys, the 20 tooth. On the car, it has plastic ones on here, same as on the R3G. I've had no issues. I mean, your pulleys, your diff and your spool has plastic, so I had no issue with it. But I did not expect to have aluminums in the package, so that's a nice little plus. So here is the manual, and it looks like the manual compared to the last one, it's been updated. So, well, maybe not, but so that's the original one that came with the G, and this is the new one, and this new one feels actually thicker. So, taking a look, it looks like it's more or less going to be kind of the same as the original one, where they kind of builds it as an R2, and then just has different pages for the different cars in question. So there is the R3G, the only thing that's different for that, and then when it comes to the R3-Pro, what's different for that car? And it looks like, yeah, it goes a little bit more in depth on this versus the R3G to build the Pro. But again, it doesn't give as thorough instructions on how to build the car because the car is already pre-built. And then there's abundance of pages for all the spare parts and hop-ups that you can get for the car, all the different types and kind of cars, how to spin off from it. So what also comes with the car? We got a little bit extra hardware. This is probably the hardware that's actually used for holding the front bumper there. This is the extra hardware. So we got some additional screws, some shims, and a pinion. 64 pitch, actually, so it has 64 pitch spur and pinion with the Pro, whereas the R3G had 48 pitch. We have our pills to do the adjustments for front and rear, doing like your toe and whatnot for the car. Body clips, an extra servo horn for a different servo, like a Spectrum, or whatsoever the 23 happens to be. Is it high tech? Yeah, probably high tech. And a ton of tube. We have, I have no clue what this is, but I'll find that out later. It's like these two little plastic discs with a step on it. And then also coming with the car is the sway bar. So this is not necessarily a full sway bar kit, but it's almost everything. The only difference is that this has only the number 2 setting sway bar, where the kit has 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4 settings for the sway bar. So it's good that it comes with this. You might want to look at purchasing additional sway bars. Now, because I purchased the sway bar kit for the G, I already have the other bars that would work with this. All right, so we'll start digging into the car. So I didn't get around to trying the tires yet that come with the Pro, or I mean with the G, but it appears that they're the exact same tires that come with the G is also on the Pro. I should have tried them. The tires actually look and feel very impressive. They aren't cheap tires. Actually, they have like a hard inset, proper foam inside of it. The gluing job's pretty good on it. They honestly should be a good set of tires. So it's not like a wasted add-in with these kits. The tires actually should be good for some putting down some good lap times. these tires don't feel as sticky as the ones that come with the Pro, with the Jeep, but these ones probably just need to get cleaned up and they'll feel just pretty good, feel sticky. So with taking off the wheels, the wheel hexes are aluminum, just like on the Jeep, but these ones are clamp style captured. So you can see there is the little hex screw, and you can possibly even see the split. Sorry, this camera kind of sucks for zooming in, but there's a split, for clamping it down. So right off the bat, that is super convenient because you have no idea how many times I've taken the tire off, especially running dual class. So I'm swapping tires all the time, and the hex stays inside the wheel. It pops off easy, but it's super annoying. So with comparison to the front steering compared to the other car, this has what I was talking about in the previous video, the aluminum caster block. I'll probably use this one to try to zoom in onto that. It has an aluminum caster block, dual ball bearing into the steering knuckle. So instead of having two plastic pieces now, you have one, which is all that steering knuckle. Movement is super smooth and fluid because everything is now on bearings. Having that caster block, it's more rigid up front. That flex is going on because of the plastic arms being a softer than not a hard. I think again where these cars are more focused on is pavement, right? So you need all the flex you can kind of get with the car. In the front, it has spring steel dual CVDs. Also has spring steel outdrives on this front aluminum spool, and the turnbuckles are plastic captured but on spring steel tie rods. Front bulkheads on this car are aluminum versus being the plastic, and your shock towers are carbon fiber versus the graphite. So the shock towers are 3 millimeters thick, whereas the graphite one is 2.5 millimeter thick. So just a lot stiffer of shock tower in comparison. Shock bodies on both cars are aluminum, but aluminum threaded, but these have aluminum spring perches on the bottom versus plastic. I'll pop one off here. So it's an aluminum, fully machined out spring perch. Super lightweight. I think it's actually lighter than plastic. It feels super light. Let's pop you back on. Okay, cool. All right, working our way down. Our steering all consists of aluminum. So we got aluminum arms here and aluminum where the turnbuckles tie up to. I don't know if you can see all the anodized aluminum, but that's all aluminum versus the other one has it as plastic. Our servo mount brace is carbon fiber versus graphite. Additionally, the side post is 2 holes deep, where the other one is half this height with only one. Both cars have aluminum fan bracket, and they have the center spool or gear mount and motor mount. Looking at the other side here, we have a more elaborate battery clamp. Oh, that's what those white plastic pieces could be, is with a set screw, it goes on the underneath here to push down on the battery. That's probably what it is for your adjustment. Or no, it's actually not. It's just actually maybe just replacements, because it looks like it's that same piece is right there. So it could be just a full adjustment in case they wear out. The battery bracket allows for adjustments both in and out and forward and back. There is 2 set screws, plastic set screws, sitting into the motor mount, and then there is 4 screws to move the battery back and forth. Chassis is a symmetrical design, just like the other one, so you can see that you have 2 milled out motor slots, as well as the motor mount allows for the motor to be positioned on either side. We make our way to the rear. Same thing as the front, where we got spring steel CVDs in the rear versus the steel ones. We also have spring steel out drives on the diff. We have spring steel turnbuckles on the rear, and our bottom bulkheads are aluminum versus plastic, and our top shock tower mounts, they are has the purchase to have 3 different hole locations. One thing to kind of note between uh, this car versus the the graphite is that the purchase, that where the ball studs mount, they are sticking out further outward, and you can't put it in line uh, on the bulk. I'm trying to get a shot, and I do apologize. You can't get them lined up right there, which is where they sit on the graphite. So you can see how, all the holes start just behind the bulkhead, but there's all 4 gathered off to the side. Whereas this only has the one option, and it's in line with the shock tower post. So that explains pretty much the differences between the cars. And at this point, I just can kind of tell you what I think of the car. So the R3G is great value for the money. It is probably the best kit you can buy in this price point. Way better than a Tamiya TT01 or TT02. Way better. You would be spending way more money to the car, and it would never be what this is. It is, in my opinion, would be a better buy than a Sakura Advance, the Express XQ whatever 2, better than a Spec R. So like I said, if you're in a tight budget and you want something to get you going, and actually it's pretty decent, 100% go for this car. Buy the front spring steel CVDs, buy this sway bar kit, and you're good to go. That with now buying the front CVDs and sway bars, you're gonna end up looking around 190 Canadian into the car. Pretty much for $100 more, you're getting this car. And I think if you are ever thinking of hopping up the car and buying like aluminum bulkheads, as soon as you think about doing that, go right for the Pro. This car was about $300. I think could have been slightly less. And the having just the spring steel turnbuckles is a nice peace of mind. This turnbuckles and the CVDs. Everything else is just kind of gravy in comparison to that. So like the $100 extra spent covers the CVDs and the turnbuckles pretty much, and then just having the aluminum bulkheads gives me huge peace of mind. What I mentioned about before is I think they're kind of more based on being on low grip courses. A lot out there in like Singapore, where I think this car might have shipped from, and probably think even Europe, a lot of the places more run on pavement versus carpet, where I run here. So this particular car has the front deck. It's actually split. So the deck is kind of joined together at this point right here, and then it's split along here, and it's split back here. Same goes for here. It's joined right here, right where it kind of like comes together, and then it's split all the way down there. So that's going to add extra flex. And then also being the bottom deck, the bottom is 1.9 millimeters thick. I'm going to measurement there. 1.9 mil, 1.9 maybe. It's supposed to be 2 mil material. Thick chassis. This graphite or carbon fiber is 2.5 mil. So this car is probably made to have more flex, but flex in this car in comparison to the G here, which mind you, I already had put a brace back here, and I put a brace over the steering to get a little stiffer. I would say this might be a little bit stiffer at this particular point, maybe the same. So hopefully as I add in bracing in the back and in the front, it should get the car stiffer. What I'm going to see about making are just simple little braces that span across the bulkhead, front and rear, to add more stiffness to the car. There is an aluminum chassis option to buy, but that's $100. I don't want to spend that. So for a $300 kit, this is a very impressive looking kit. We'll see how durability ends up being. Again, I'm not comparing it to an X-Ray or anything like that, because that's not what it is. Those cars are 3 times the price. There's not really any cars in this price point. It kind of seems like for the kits, it's either like you're looking around $100 to $200, or you're right into $800 price. So this is like not even middle ground. This is not even midway. But as a middle ground car, I think this would be a good entry. So we'll get some electronics put in the car. I'll go through the car, make sure everything's all tight. Get electronics and try it out hopefully this weekend, and we can report back. All right, so this is Adam signing off. Thanks for checking out my first impressions on the SNRC R3 Pro.